plenty of people will tell you you're perfect as you are and that you don't need this whole new year, new me stuff. You don't need to set New Year's resolutions. And they're absolutely right. But some of us love this time of year. And I love creating resolutions for the new year to work out what I want, where I'm going. I find it all very exciting. So I love the whole exercise of this, and I have a great hit rate of actually achieving what I set out for. So I want to share with you some of my techniques today when it comes to setting New Year's resolutions. So first of all, don't make a long list of New Year's resolutions. Pick one big goal that will define the whole of your next year. It will be the year you look back and say, that's what I achieved that year, and chase that down as far as you can take it. Now, I started doing this a few years ago and it is so much better. The reality at this time of year is we've just had Christmas. Many of us have just had a break. And so looking to the year ahead, we can have lofty ideals of what we want to achieve. But then life is going to kick back in the next few days in January. And suddenly those big goals that we set don't fit with all our responsibilities in our day-to-day routines. But if we set one big goal, that is much more likely to fit with our lives, and we have the whole year to do it. The problem with a New Year's resolution is a year is not a particularly long length of time if we're looking for huge change. But at the same time, it's quite long if we're looking for motivation. If you think a year, it's not that inspiring. Many people will struggle to pick just one goal, and there's a lot of reasons for that, but one of the biggest is that so many of us do not live our lives for ourselves. We want to impress our mum or dad, we want to impress our partner, we want to do things for our sibling, whoever it might be. We don't actually know what it is that we want. And I've talked about this many times before on my channel. One exercise I would recommend to anyone is I'll link a list down below, but look at a list of values, a long list of values that you can have, and pick out all the ones that apply to you. Then once you've got that list of maybe 20, 30 values, start cutting them down. Keep halving that list until you get down to maybe 3 or 4 values that are the 3 or 4 things that you really want from your life, that are important to you right now. They might change over time, that's fine, but be honest, what matters to you right now? It's important to know that no value is more or less valuable than another one. They're all completely equal. I did this with a friend of mine who's a medic, and unsurprisingly, they picked that they wanted to help people as their core value. But when we really talked about it, they were struggling financially to pay for their mortgage. They were struggling to get their little one from school because they needed the hours, but at the same time, they were always running late and struggling for pickup. They needed more money in order to have security at home. And so actually what they valued was money. And they felt they couldn't say that because they felt that wasn't as good a value as saying they wanted to help people. But as I said, there's no one value that's more important than another. And I'm sure to their child, my friend having a little bit more money to spend more time with them is just as important. So it doesn't really matter what angle you come at these things from, but write down what actually matters to you right now. Get it down to 3 or 4 things, and then whatever goal you pick this year, make sure it's consistent with where you're at. Generally speaking, people's values don't tend to change that much that quickly, and I would only do this exercise maybe once a year. But if you ever feel like you're disconnected or not really valuing what your goal is, this is a good way of checking that you're doing something that's right for you. And do not pick a goal because you think you can achieve it. In fact, the best goals are the ones that you think you can't achieve, because that's where there's more growth and more excitement around them. There's a brilliant book if you're somebody who feels that you limit your own life by your own low expectations of yourself, called Mindset by Carol Dweck. This talks about growth versus fixed mindset. So somebody with a growth mindset believes that they can learn things and the value is in the learning and the journey, whereas somebody who has a fixed mindset is more likely to believe that you're either a natural at something or you just can't do it, and is much more into the label than actually the process of learning. That's a very brief view. I'm going to talk about this book more in another video. But if you are looking to work towards a goal this year and you feel like you're going to limit yourself, make your first challenge in your first week to read this book, because it will open your eyes to a different way of looking at the world. And it's so exciting if you don't have a growth mindset to develop one, because suddenly you realize there is so much more on the table in front of you. And if you're still clueless as to what to set for your goal, remember the last time you were really jealous of someone. A few years ago, I remember meeting a girl, it was a good few years ago now, who I was really jealous of, and she had all these skills that I wanted to have. And so I went up to her and I literally said, "I'm so jealous of you, I wish I could do all this stuff." And she said, "Well, I'm jealous of you because you could do all these things." And so we helped each other. We helped each other out to achieve the things that we couldn't do, and we're still really good friends, and I respect and admire her, and it's a really lovely relationship. Jealousy can be a really useful tool for showing you what it is you want. So if you don't know what you want, Think about the last time you felt jealous of someone. And I know jealousy is always painted as this awful thing, but what you do with that feeling is what's important, not the feeling of jealousy. That's really honest to acknowledge it, but I share it, and I like to share how great I think it is that somebody can do something else, and maybe they're the person that's going to help you do it. The second thing I've already broached, which is that you need to keep checking in on your goal. So what I tend to do with my New Year's resolution, I'll pick my one big goal and I'll work out where I'm trying to get to, and then I'll write down what I need to do that week to try and get there. And then every single week for the next year, I'm going to check in on that goal and see how close I'm getting to it. The reality is that I could set a goal right now and then in a few months' time, it just doesn't matter the same to me. That's fair. But if I do a weekly check-in, I can modify it and tweak things as appropriate and see where this journey over the next year takes me. The way I work, I have a weekly review. I do it on a Sunday morning, first thing when I wake up, and I'll do it either in a planner or I'll do it with my husband or a friend, depending on what the challenge is. So having that check-in with somebody keeps you accountable to keeping moving forward. And so sometimes I'd get to a Saturday and think I've done nothing this week. So maybe I'll just do something very quickly, and it makes me do something that I might not otherwise do. So it can actually help to drive more activity than you would usually do in an area, and I find them quite motivating and inspiring. And at times when you feel like you're not progressing in whatever it is you're doing, whether you're writing it down in a notebook to show your progress as you go along or telling somebody else through an accountability meeting, you have that evidence there that you have moved forward. You're just not quite at your goal yet. If you buy a planner, most planners have goal setting at the front of them, and they usually break the year down into 4 different quarters. This might work depending on your project. I like it every single week, and sometimes if I'm in a daily planner, I'll put down a daily task depending on what it is I'm doing. I love that when you do something like this, when you have one goal that you commit to and you have that time to go on these little detours, you can end up really finding yourself. Particularly if you've set a goal that's really true to you, you can find avenues along the way that you're not expecting, and the whole journey of this is as much fun, if not more important, than wherever it is you're heading to. And so this isn't a case of I'll wait till I'm happy when I achieve that goal. It's a case of what will I discover along the way? And so when you pick that goal, set those first few steps. So, right, what am I going to achieve in January? What am I going to achieve in the first week? If you don't know how to do that, maybe reverse engineer it, go to where the goal is and try and work all the steps back to the point you're at now. Or if you're not sure how to get there, talk to somebody who has. And the final point is don't give up on yourself. Even if you think it's too late in the year to now reach your target, if things are taking longer than you expected, that happened to me last year. I only found my pathway to success in the middle of October, and I thought it's still not long enough to hit my target, and I smashed it about 2 weeks ago, and I can't believe that I've done it. But the fulfilling it, the seeing it out to the bitter end is as important as what I've done over the year, the commitment. And knowing that I can commit to that has allowed me to set bigger goals for next year. And that's where it gets really exciting, because this sort of thing compounds. So those are my tips. Pick one thing, pick the right thing, and take your time. There is no hurry to picking that goal, and then see it through and do it right. And make sure you're checking in on it regularly. And if you've just got that one thing, it can always be in the back of your mind. So allow yourself to go on a journey next year. Let me know if you are doing this in the comments down below, and call it a goal. I don't call these New Year's resolutions anymore because it has the connotation that it's over by the 17th of January, which is usually when my New Year's resolutions used to end before I started doing them this way. And I have to say, the more I achieve, the more I feel I can achieve. And I'm really excited for 2025.